You know, ever since I started doing these videos about like teen dramas and rom-coms or like whatever, a lot of people, like a lot of people, have asked me to do Twilight. Now, I've done Vampire Diaries, I did Teen Wolf, I did a whole bunch of shows, but the Twilight series really gave us this like vampire, supernatural, teen romance, you know, cultural movement or whatever, right? I mean, it was a huge deal when it came out, but now that that's pretty much all done away with, I think it's time to take a look back and ask ourselves one very important question.
Why did anyone like these movies?
I mean, like, have you watched Twilight recently? Because I have, and I have a lot of thoughts, so let's take a walk. Twilight is about a girl named Bella, who moves in with her dad after her mom gets remarried and just kind of like up and leaves, I guess. Bella's dad lives in a small town in Washington State, where Bella used to live as a kid, so it's this kind of weird like welcome home thing, except she doesn't really remember anything or anyone, so it's just really awkward.
Hey, Bella. Yeah, you remember me? I played Santa one year.
Yeah, Waylon, she hasn't had a Christmas here since she was 4.
Anyway, so Bella goes to her new school and meets Eric, who, between you and me, smiles way too much for his own good.
You're Isabel Swan, the new girl. Hi, I'm Eric, the eyes and ears of this place. Anything you need? Tour guide, lunch date, shoulder to cry on?
Yeah, could you close your mouth for like 2 seconds? Because you're really freaking me out over here. I mean, you look like the face I make when someone tells me to smile and I just sit there trying not to punch him in the neck. Now, later that day at lunch, we finally get to meet everyone's favorite anemic who just discovered hair pomade like 3 days ago, Edward Cullen.
Who's he? That's Edward Cullen. He's totally gorgeous, obviously.
I feel like you and I have different definitions of that word. And of course, as is customary in every teen romance thing involving vampires, or really anyone, I guess, Bella and Edward just stare at each other for a really uncomfortable amount of time. And then in the very next class, they just keep staring at each other. Like seriously, no joke. There's an actual time lapse of Edward staring at Bella for the entire class. You know, I wonder how many guys have tried this move after seeing someone like Edward do it or whatever, and they just think to themselves, you know, I could go up to this girl I like and say hi, make a witty joke, have a little conversation, and then ask her on a date. Or I could just do this. Hi?
Do you have a boyfriend?
Anyway, so Bella's a little confused about the whole Edward thing and goes to confront him about his weird behavior. But then suddenly he's all just like Mr. Nice Dude, and they proceed to have the weirdest conversation where Bella looks like she has food poisoning or something and she's just about to let it all go, but for some reason she's trying to just soldier on through it, you know?
Hello. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to introduce myself last week. I'm Edward Cullen. So you're enjoying the rain? What?
Well, I don't really like the rain. Any cold, wet thing, I don't really.
Okay, well, we're just gonna leave that one right there. So after this, school is out, and we meet everyone's favorite superhero, Guy, who almost hits Bella with a van. But gosh darn it, wouldn't you know, Edward just has to be all Boy Scout about it and jump in there and save the day, so now we get 4 more of these movies, so thanks for nothing, buddy. Anyway, Bella goes to the hospital since, you know, she almost got hit by a car, but everything's fine. And wouldn't you know, Edward just shows up again. Very convenient, may I say. So Bella goes to ask him how he did what he did with the whole, like, punching a car thing.
You stopped the van. You pushed it away with your hand.
Well, nobody's gonna believe you. So.
I just need to know the truth.
Can't you just thank me and get over it?
Thank you.
You're not gonna let this go, are you?
No.
Well, then I hope you enjoy disappointment.
Oh yeah? Well, joke's on you, Edward. I dated the captain of the football team at my old school, and let's just say I learned a thing or two about disappointment, alright? That night, Edward watches Bella sleep. Yep. Now, how is this not like a Lifetime movie about a girl and her stalker or something? You know, I mean, if you take out the whole vampire aspect, all you're left with is one of those videos they show college freshmen at like orientation. You know what I'm talking about? So later, Bella's walking alone in the middle of nowhere and she gets jumped by 6 guys, and just when things are looking bad, guess who shows up?
Get in the car.
Well, looks like someone doesn't have a whole lot of hobbies. And so after this, Bella and Edward get to talking, and we finally learn that there might be more to Edward than just being a weirdo.
So you followed me
I was trying to keep a distance, and then I heard what those lowlifes were thinking.
You say you heard what they were thinking?
I can read every mind in this room, apart from yours. Money, cat, and then you, nothing. It's very frustrating.
I mean, I wouldn't worry about it. You're not really missing much. Like, most of the time I just sit on my bed thinking about what I would do if my fingers had fingers. Like, could you imagine? But then we get that super cheesy line that made soccer moms across the world fall in love with a 100-something-year-old teenager.
What is it?
I don't have the strength to stay away from you anymore.
Oh, trust me, you should. My dad bought that extra fiber Raisin Bran yesterday, and it's been a tough day for all of us. Anyway, then they stare at each other, again, and then they drive home and still stare at each other, by the way. And then this happens.
Okay, I think I'm warm enough now. Your hand is so cold.
Oh, that? Nah, don't worry about it. It's just like sometimes I sit on my hand until it goes numb, and so then when I'm watching Netflix, I can hold it and pretend I'm watching with someone else. But I mean, come on, everyone does that, right, guys? Guys? Hello? So that night, Bella starts to piece it all together by using a book to look up information on the internet, and I thought Edward was the weirdo. But still, the animal attacks in the news, Edward's white skin, cold hands, shifty eyes, lack of any muscle whatsoever. Wait a minute. I thought he was just some brooding, misunderstood guy who avoids people because they just don't get him like I do. But what if he's actually just a weirdo that no one likes because he's really creepy? Bella then has the genius idea to confront Edward about being a blood-sucking, people-eating vampire, and she does this alone in a dark forest far away from anything or anyone. Not really sure this is the smartest thing you've ever done, Bella. Actually, I take that back. This probably is the smartest thing you've ever done, because I mean, come on, this is you we're talking about.
I know what you are.
Say it.
Vampire.
Anyway, with the cat out of the bag, whatever that means, Edward takes Bella up a mountain to show her his true form.
This is what I am.
I mean, that's cool and all, but like, I don't really get what the big deal is. You know, like my wife has body lotion that does the exact same thing, so like, why are we here? After he realizes that the whole sparkly skin thing isn't gonna scare her off, Edward starts telling her all the reasons why she shouldn't date him.
I'm the world's most dangerous predator. Everything about me invites you in. My voice, my face, even my smell.
Now, I gotta say, okay, as someone who's been around the block a few times, let me tell you something. If someone starts to give you a bunch of reasons why you shouldn't date them, you should probably believe them. Oh, trust me, you don't want to date me. I'm selfish, vindictive, super jealous. All 5 of my exes just ran away screaming, so I'm a mess. And of course, if you're like me, you know, having anyone show any interest in you whatsoever is like winning the lottery, you know? So you end up saying something dumb like, that's because they don't understand you like I do. And then you just cut to like 6 months later and you're sitting there, your house is on fire, knife sticking out of your back, and you're just like, how did I miss all these red flags? Anyway, so Bella wakes up the next morning and gives us this little inner monologue.
About 3 things I was absolutely positive. First, Edward was a vampire. Second, there was a part of him that thirsted for my blood. And third, I was unconditionally and irrevocably in love with him.
You've known him for like, what, 2 weeks? You think it might be moving a little fast here? I mean, like, he says what? He drinks blood and he stole his sister's body glitter, whatever, and then Bella's just like, wow, shoot, sign me up. Anyway, so Edward brings Bella over to his house now that, you know, he and Bella are like going steady.
Graduation caps?
Yeah, it's a private joke. We matriculate a lot.
I think I said this back in one of my Vampire Diaries videos, but like, sure, the whole super strength, super speed thing is kind of cool or whatever, but like, can you imagine having to go through high school over and over again, literally forever? I mean, I barely made it out alive the first time. You tell me I gotta go back every year? Just let me die. Anyway, so then we get this montage of them in a tree for who knows what reason, and later, Bella's talking to her mom on the phone about life and boys and stuff, and of course, Edward just shows up, cause why not?
Mama, can I talk to you later?
Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Can I talk to you later? Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you be... Come on, we gotta talk bo
How did you get in here?
The window?
Do you do that a lot?
I like watching you sleep.
Code red, get out while you still can, Bella, code red.
Then he spends the night, watching her sleep, because that's not totally weird. But all that aside, earlier in the movie they established that his skin was ice cold. So this whole snuggling thing right here must be terrible for Bella. Like Edward's just like, oh dude, I'm in a girl's room. And Bella's over here like, so then the main conflict of the movie actually starts. Throughout the movie, there have been these animal attacks, but turns out it's not animals, it's just a bunch of weirdos coming back from Burning Man. Anyway, they find out about Bella and they start to hunt her for really no particular reason other than she's the main character, I guess. One thing leads to another and they end up in a ballet studio where Edward and Mr. Ponytail over here have a little scuffle. And would you believe Edward wins? So after all that's said and done, Bella and Edward are going to prom. And Bella does that little like walk down the stairs in your new dress thing that always happens in these movies for some reason.
Alice lent me the dress. Cass is...
You're perfect.
Yeah, I just love Bella's dad's face right here. You're perfect. Ugh, come on, Bella, really? This guy? Anyway, so in the end, they go to prom, which apparently just spent its entire budget on like fairy lights. And of course, Edward and Bella have one last ulcer-inducing conversation.
You don't want this.
I want you. Always. I've decided.
So that's what you dream about. Becoming a monster.
I dream about being with you forever.
You say that now, Bella, but just wait a few years down the road when he comes out of the bathroom one day and he's like, Bella, you don't want to go in there. It looks like Chernobyl, you know what I'm saying? And you're just left asking yourself, why me? In doing these videos, right? At the very least, I can usually understand the appeal of a certain movie or TV show or whatever. Like, even if it's not for me, I can still kind of get it. But watching this movie, as someone who didn't see it back in the day, it's just so weird. Why did people like these movies so much? And like, I know I'm probably the 5 millionth person to say this, but like the power dynamic between Bella and Edward is so off balance. Like, there's nothing remotely positive or healthy about this relationship whatsoever. Just like, I don't know, the way the movie portrays Edward as this gorgeous, brooding, misunderstood vampire tortured by his thirst for blood, juxtaposed against his sense of justice, or like, I don't know, whatever they were going for in this movie. I mean, he just comes across as this creepy dude who like watches people sleep and stuff. Like, what? But I mean, hey, there's only like, what, 4 more movies we gotta get through, so strap yourselves in. I wasn't sure if I was gonna do another one of these. Like, I did the first Twilight movie, I guess like a month or so ago, and a lot of people seem to like it, but I mean, like, was I really gonna put myself through all that again? What, are you kidding? Of course I am. That's what I'm here for. So if you wanna check out my first Twilight video, please do, but to summarize the first movie, Bella's all like, and Edward's like, and then something else happens, I think, maybe. Now, this movie starts out with Bella having a dream where she's an old grandma, but of course, Edward stays the same because, the whole vampire thing.
Birthday, Bella.
Now, I get why this is like a nightmare or whatever, but I think you're missing the bigger picture here, Bella, because like, you'll make so much money going on Dr. Phil when this happens. Anyway, it's Bella's birthday, she's 18 and a senior, so she's basically just one step away from moving into a nursing home.
Happy birthday.
Don't remind me.
Oh, your birth is definitely something to celebrate.
Yeah, my aging's not.
You're aging. I think 18 is a little young to start worrying about that.
It's 1 year older than you.
No, it isn't. I'm 109.
He says with a complete lack of self-awareness about how weird this is. So watching this movie, right, like the first 20 minutes or so, it's just the cheesiest romance garbage you'll ever hear. I mean, seriously, just listen to this.
Bella, you give me everything just by breathing. Bella, the only thing that can hurt me is you. And I don't have anything else to be afraid of. You're my only reason to stay alive.
Make it stop. Make it stop. So later at Edward's house, everyone's giving Bella presents for her birthday that she specifically asked them not to give her. So, she's pretending to be all embarrassed or whatever, but deep down, just like the rest of us, she's all like, sweet, free stuff. Now, somehow she gets this huge paper cut on her finger from a decorative ribbon. I mean, look at it. Like, how would you even do that? What, is the whole thing just made out of razor blades? Oh, hey, Bella, here's a little something for your birthday. Funny story, I didn't have any paper, so I just wrapped it up in chainsaws. Anyway, so the blood that's gushing out of her paper cut gets the vampires a little excited. Okay, wait a second here. So in the first movie, right, Edward's all like, I would never hurt you. I will always protect you, or whatever dumb thing he said, right? But like the first thing he does in this movie is he throws her across the room into some flower pots. Bella, I would never hurt you. Oh, Edward. Just kidding. Now later, Edward shows up at Bella's house to deliver the bad news that he and his family have to move away.
We have to leave Forks.
Why?
Carlisle's supposed to be 10 years old in the looks. People are starting to notice.
And let's be honest, that's kind of a flimsy excuse because, like, I mean, have you ever seen Gwen Stefani? She hasn't aged since, like, 1997. Anyway, so he uses this as an excuse to break up with Bella. And as you can probably imagine, Bella takes this about as well as any 18-year-old being done for the first time.
If this is about my soul, take it. I don't want it without you.
It's not about your soul.
It's not about your soul, Bella. It's just that last night while you were sleeping, I looked on your computer, and why does your homework folder have like 600 pictures of SpongeBob in lingerie? So after the breakup, Bella spends the next several months with this face. Story, it's the same exact face I made the whole time I watched this movie. Anyway, so eventually she gets over herself and she starts hanging out with Jacob and fixing motorcycles because, you know, she's not like other girls. And at the same time, she tries to get back with her old friends and pretend like she didn't just ditch them all a year ago.
I was just wondering if you wanted to go see a movie with me.
We should get a bunch of people to go. Do you guys want to go see Face Punch?
Face punch. Yeah. Mike, hey, we're supposed to watch that. Remember the trailers like punch faces.
Yeah. Movie night with Bella.
But on the night, almost everyone bails, and Bella's stuck hanging out with Jacob and this guy, who you know, by the way, just by looking at him, he's one of those dudes who walks up to girls in the hallways, you know, and he's like, where's my hug? And now we have this scene. You know, this scene just really speaks to me. You know, the infamous, I want to hold your hand, but totally not look like I do. This is just the worst. You know, you're sitting there, you want to hold her hand, but like you don't want to seem desperate or anything, because, I mean, heaven forbid you actually care about something, right? So you end up doing that thing where you rest your hand on the armrest, like palm up, fingers out, totally inconspicuous. And like you spend the entire movie just slowly inching your hand towards the other person's, I guess hoping you'll touch thumbs or something? Because everyone knows if your thumbs touch, then legally you have to hold hands. And somehow your hand is dry and sweaty at the same time. No idea how that's even possible, but you know, there you are. And like if you do ever end up holding hands, it's just so sweaty by that point that you have to like take a break and wipe it off every 5 minutes. I guess what I'm trying to say is movie dates are a terrible idea, okay? Just don't even bother. What was I even talking about? Oh yeah, Twilight. So they all decide to leave in the middle of the movie because of how terrible it is. Kind of ironic, don't you think? And then we get maybe the most painful scene in the entire movie.
I feel bad. He probably has that flu that's going around.
Friend zone.
After this, the other guy shows up and Jacob gets real mad for some reason, but decides to go home. Then he, like Edward, just kind of disappears for a while, leaving Bella all alone.
Jake, your dad says you have mono. He won't let me visit, but would you call me? It's me again. I just wanted to hear your voice, so no pressure. Jacob, please. Call me.
But this time, she's not just gonna sit in her room and mope about it. Because, I mean, seriously, how many times can one person listen to Avril Lavigne and Simple Plan back to back before you lose your mind? You know what I'm saying? So she goes to see Jacob and finally get to the bottom of why he doesn't wear shirts anymore.
It's not you, it's me, right? Really?
It's true. I'm not good. I used to be a good kid. Not anymore.
I used to be a good boy, but I'm a bad boy now. I don't even wear my helmet anymore. Now Bella goes home and is just hanging out in her room when suddenly Jacob shows up and ninja climbs his way in.
Look, I'm sorry.
Okay, what just happened here? So Jacob just shows up like this? I mean, do you really just not own any shirts now? And then Bella just does this? Like, what are you even doing? Oh, hey Jacob, nice to see you. Hold on one second here. Yep, What the heck are you doing there, Bella? Anyway, Jacob tries to tell her what's going on with him, but he can't say it directly because, you know, that would just be too convenient. So the next day, Bella figures it out and goes to see him. But one thing leads to another, and we find out the dark secret they've all been keeping. You know, the whole wolf thing is cool and all that, but I gotta ask, are there just piles of ripped up jean shorts and stuff everywhere? Like, the whole forest must just look like a Magic the Gathering tournament blew up or something. Anyway, after this, Bella and Jacob are having a moment, but then Bella sees the Cullens' car in front of her house, and she's like, never mind, bye Jacob. But it turns out it's just Edward's sister coming to check on her because earlier, Bella jumped off a cliff. You know, like you do, I guess.
You won't stay with me any other way.
Bella, please.
Now, her doing this leads Edward to believe that Bella's dead, and now his life has no meaning. So his grand plan is to expose himself at noon in front of everyone in this little rinky-dink Italian town, which honestly raises a lot of questions about the kind of guys Bella's into, you know? Because, like, okay, so Jacob doesn't believe in shirts anymore, and now Edward's just taking off his clothes in the middle of town. You know, I mean, I'm just saying, like, Bella sure has a type. Anyway, so Bella stops him at the last second, you know, and he's all like, whoa. And she's like, yeah.
You're here. Bella.
I needed to make you see me once. You had to know that I was alive, but you didn't have to feel guilty about anything. I can let you go now.
I just couldn't live in a world where you doing sis.
You know, I get that this is like so romantic to a very specific age demographic, but like, would you really want to date someone whose entire hobby is you? Anyway, after this is all said and done, Edward and Bella get taken to meet some vampire council who are interested in what makes Bella so special, which, you know, to be fair, I've been wondering that the whole time myself. Turns out she's completely immune to all their special vampire powers, and they decide to turn Bella into a vampire, but she wants to wait until after graduation so she doesn't have to keep going back to high school over and over again for the rest of forever. And in the end, Edward stares at Bella, again, for way too long.
Marry me, Bella.
And of course, Bella's like, what? I'm only 18. I still have so many dreams and things I want to do, you silly goose. Just kidding. Bella actually responds by having an asthma attack. And that's how the movie ends. You know, after watching the first movie, I figured, like, I really couldn't get much worse. Like, the first Twilight movie's just kind of dumb, but this one is on a whole other level. Nothing that happens really makes any sense. Like, Edward disappears to protect Bella, I get that. But, like, the whole thing that drives the story is that Edward hears Bella jumped into the ocean, and he's like, well, I guess that's that. And yes, I know it's based on Romeo and Juliet, but can we talk about that for a second? So in the play, Romeo's like 18 or like 20 or something, and Juliet is 13. Okay, but let's just put that aside for a second. Now, them being all young and Twitter-pated and not thinking straight, like, I get it, that's fine. But in this movie, okay, Bella is 18, which is still pretty young, but Edward is 109! The whole point of his character is that he's calm, collected, he knows everything about everything, or like whatever, right? So how is he the dumbest character in the whole movie? It doesn't make any sense. And don't even get me started on Bella, okay? I mean, I've seen a lot of these kinds of movies and TV shows or whatever, but like, I don't know if I've ever seen another protagonist quite as annoying as Bella. Like, in one scene, Bella's like, oh, Jacob, you're beautiful. And then like 10 seconds later, she's like, don't talk to me, Jacob. Pick a lane, Bella! Let me tell you, okay, this movie is really something else. But I mean, hey, how much worse could these movies possibly get, you know? And that's why you shouldn't eat Taco Bell 2 days in a row. But on to more important things. Twilight. You know, when I first started doing the Twilight movies, I didn't really know what to expect. Like, I mean, I knew they were cheesy and dumb or whatever, but still immensely popular for whatever reason. Now, the first movie, I kind of understand, right? It's about some normal girl in some normal town who gets a cool vampire boyfriend. Like, okay, I get it. Second movie, the aforementioned totally normal girl has the two hottest guys in town fighting over her. Sure, I get the appeal, I guess. But starting with this third movie here, Twilight Eclipse, like, things just start getting even more bizarre than usual, like, to the point where I just have like no idea what's even going on anymore. Let me show you what I mean. So the movie starts out with Bella being a negative Nancy as usual.
Some say the world will end in fire. Some say in ice. From what I've tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire.
Well, it's good to know you're always looking on the bright side of things there, Bella. Now, the entire rest of this scene is literally just Edward saying, marry me, and Bella being like, nah.
Marry me.
Marry me.
Which, you know, I gotta say, okay, I respect. Like, I kind of figured you were just gonna throw yourself at him, but you surprised me, Bella. Maybe I was wrong about you. So she goes home, and her dad's a little uneasy about her spending so much time with Edward.
You're not grounded anymore. If you use your newfound freedom to see some of your other friends, too. Like Jacob. He's going through a really tough time right now. His dad's really worried about him.
So she tries to go hang out with Jacob, but turns out Edward did something to her truck, so she can't go anywhere. But I'm sure he has a perfectly good explanation.
You going to the reservation?
How did you... Alice. Hey, did you do this to my truck?
Bella, you have to understand. Your safety is everything to me.
You know, I believe the technical term for this is big red flag. I won't let you go anywhere. I'm just trying to keep you safe.
It's only because I love you.
Anyway, so later, Edward takes Bella to school, and we finally meet Jacob, who for some reason just gets the most, like, over-the-top introduction. Okay, Jacob, let's just take it down a couple notches here. Anyway, so Jacob tells Bella that Victoria, that redhead vampire all the way back from the first movie, well, looks like she's back in town and still hunting for Bella. After hearing that her life might be in danger, Bella decides to skip school and just hang out with Jacob, which I gotta ask, okay? Like, so the whole first half of this movie, everyone's talking about graduation and all this stuff, but like, when does she ever even go to school? So they ride off on Jacob's motorcycle, and here's where we learn about the concept of imprinting.
Imprinting on someone is like when you see her, everything changes. All of a sudden, it's not gravity holding you to the planet. It's her.
You know, that just kind of sounds like me every other week in high school. There were so many girls that I never spoke to once, but like in my head, we had our own Hallmark Channel movie, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, so here's where we learn that someone's building an army of vampires in Seattle. Which, like, I don't know how you could even tell, because I mean, if there's one place full of pale, emotionless 20-something-year-olds who just kind of like stare off into nothing all day, I mean, that's pretty much Seattle. So to keep her safe from whatever's going on, Bella just kind of gets passed back and forth between Edward and Jacob, which ultimately leads us to this awkward conversation.
I just want to do this differently. Smoother. But now I'm out of time. You need to hear the truth, Bella. And you need to know that I'm in love with you.
You know, Jacob, real talk, I think your biggest problem is that you're just stuck in a small town. Like, just try going anywhere else, because, like, the world's a big place, let me tell you. It's like when you're in high school and you think that this girl is a 9 or that guy's a 10 or whatever, but then you go off to college, you know, and you're like, never mind. Anyway, so then the conversation continues and somehow gets even more weird.
I don't feel that way for you.
I don't buy it.
What don't you buy? That's how I feel.
You feel something else for me. You just won't admit it.
Yeah, Jacob, all I'm feeling right now is that bag of sugarless gummy bears I just had, so you think maybe we could speed this up? But like, really though, this whole scene is giving me some serious like high school PTSD flashbacks of myself talking to literally any girl who said one sentence to me. Hi Alex, how was your weekend? I know you're in love with me. Why else would you speak in my general direction? Just admit it. I was not prepared. Wasn't prepared for this. Anyway, so then it's finally graduation. Bella somehow gets her diploma, and then we get this little valedictorian speech.
This isn't the time to make hard and fast decisions. This is the time to make mistakes. Take the wrong train and get stuck somewhere. Fall in love. So make as many mistakes as you can. That way someday when they ask what we want to be, we won't have to guess. We'll know.
Okay, so here's a little advice that no one asked for, but here you go anyway. You're never really gonna feel like a grown-up, and you're never really gonna know what you wanna do. Like, I mean, I've worked so many jobs, I've been homeless, I've just been all over the place. Basically, I just wasn't really good at anything, and then I started making YouTube videos, which I was slightly less bad at, I guess, and then, you know, here we are. So I guess the best, like, life advice or whatever I could give you would be try to find something that you don't totally suck at, and then just like, do that. Anyway, so remember that army of vampires from Seattle that we talked about earlier? Well, it turns out they're heading down to Forks for the sole purpose of hunting Bella.
They must be playing with the blind spots in your vision.
Either way, the army's coming and there aren't enough of us to protect the town.
Hold up. What damn army?
Newborns. Our kind.
What are they after?
They were passing around Bella's scent. A red blouse.
They're after Bella?
You know, it sure seems like everyone everywhere just wants Bella, you know, just Little Miss Popular over here, biting her lip into hearts across the world. Anyway, so the awkward conversations continue when Bella goes home and talks to her dad.
Hey, Dad, I was wondering, why didn't you get remarried after Mom?
Ah, jeez, Bella, come on. Don't you know how conversations work? I say, how are you? You say, fine, and then we never speak ever again. What are you trying to do here?
I don't know. Guess I still haven't met the right gal.
See, this is exactly what I was talking about, okay? First Jacob, now Charlie. Like, I mean, you guys just gotta get out. Like, your town has a population of what, 25? Let me tell you, when you live in a place where 80% of the population spends all day at the Cracker Barrel, like, you know it's time to reevaluate your life. Now, as the vampire army approaches, Bella goes around trying to give herself an infection, I guess. And Edward and Jacob decide that maybe she should go somewhere else. So they take her up to the top of some mountain somewhere for a little camping trip, but a storm rolls in, the temperature drops, and things once again start getting a little awkward.
Forget it.
She may need her toes someday. And let's face it, I am hotter than you.
Do you get it? He said he's hotter, and he means body temperature, but also he means that he's better looking. So it's like double meaning. Do you get it?
Not missing a beat, Jacob hops in the sleeping bag with Bella and warms her up. Now, after Bella falls asleep, Jacob and Edward have a little heart-to-heart talk where Jacob's like, dude, and then Edward's like, dude, and then they're both like, dude, or something like that. Now, the next morning, Jacob overhears Bella and Edward talking about how earlier in the movie, Bella finally said that she would marry Edward, mainly because Bella wanted to do the old devil's tango. But Edward was like, no, we have to be married first. And then Bella was like, oh, fine, geez, whatever.
I mean, you don't... It's fine.
Believe me, I want to. I just want to be married to you first.
Anyway, so Jacob overhears this and gets all grumpy about it, but Bella, who I guess can't bear the thought of having one less guy in love with her, just kind of throws out one of these trap cards.
Maybe I'll get myself killed and make it simple for you.
No! Just... Jake, stay.
Give me one good reason.
Because I don't want to lose you.
It's not good enough.
Jacob! Kiss me.
You know, one of the main points or whatever of these movies is that Bella just kind of stumbles into this world, you know, vampires and werewolves and all that stuff, and really she's just kind of reacting to everything. But watching these movies back now, can we just acknowledge that Bella's kind of stoking a lot of these fires herself? You know what I mean? Like, she's just sending all kinds of signals to everyone, but Jacob especially. Like, this whole movie in particular is basically Bella just saying, Jacob, I don't love you the same way you love me, but I mean, if you want to dedicate your whole life to me anyway, I mean, I'm not gonna stop you. So then the vampire army shows up, and wouldn't you be shocked to learn that Victoria was behind it the whole time? Anyway, there's a big fight. Edward defeats Victoria. Bye-bye, you get the idea. Jacob ends up getting hurt during the fight trying to save Bella, and that's when he decides it's a great idea to maybe try his luck with Bella one more time.
He's not as perfect as you think.
I know who he is.
I'm exactly right for you, Bella. It would be as easy as breathing with me.
You know, Jacob, as someone who was friend-zoned by every girl in high school, I was on your side, man. But like, who are you trying to fool right now? Bella, I know you're really emotionally vulnerable right now, so you think maybe like I could get past first base? Rosebud. In the end, Bella and Edward are hanging out in a flower field somewhere, like they always do for some reason, having one of their signature bizarre conversations.
You're trying to make everyone else happy. But you're already giving away too much.
You're wrong. This wasn't a choice between you and Jacob. It was between who I should be and who I am.
You know, this is one of those phrases that looks good on paper, but like if you think about it, just makes no sense. But then, Bella's manifesto continues.
I've always felt out of step. Like literally stumbling through my life. I've never felt normal. Because I'm not normal.
I could have told you that, Bella. That one time we were making out and you whispered, "Oh, Squidward," like, yeah, kind of figured it out for myself. And that's where the movie ends. You know, something I noticed about these movies is like the way they handle foreshadowing is really odd. I mean, of course, pretty much every movie or TV show or whatever, like they use foreshadowing to some degree, but the Twilight movies just literally tell you the entire plot. Like in the second movie, the whole first half hour or so is spent talking about Romeo and Juliet, which is the exact plot of the movie. And like in this movie, we learn about one of the characters' backstories, and would you believe this turns out to be the exact plot of the movie? Like it's not even foreshadowing, they're just summarizing the plot. Although to be fair, at least it's not as bad as what we see nowadays, where like we have movie trailers that just tell you everything that happens in the movie. Like what's up with that? Now, speaking of the plot, maybe this is just my own personal preference or whatever, but I've always thought that movies and TV shows, or really just stories in general, I guess, are better when the scale of everything is smaller and more focused. Like I said at the beginning of the video, back when it was just Bella and Edward, or even Bella, Edward, and Jacob or whatever, like it was fine, I guess. At the very least, the story was comprehensible, you know? But like, what even is this movie? Is it a romance movie? Is it an action movie? Like at this point, what is the series even trying to be? At any rate, we only have 2 movies left. Can the series redeem itself in time for the big finale? I assume not, but I guess we'll find out. It's been a while since I did a video on Twilight. Last year I did the first 3 movies pretty much in a row, and then I guess just other things got in the way, and for some reason I never went back. Until now. So if you haven't seen the first 3 videos I did, of course I recommend you do, but just to summarize real quick, Bella's like, "Duh," and Edward's like, "Duh," and then Jacob's like, "Harumph, harumph." And that just goes on for like 3 movies. But here we are with the first of the final 2 in the series. So, you know what time it is. Let's take a walk. As usual with the Twilight movies, we start out with an overly dramatic monologue from Bella, basically just summarizing what the entire movie is going to be about.
Childhood is not from birth to a certain age. And at a certain age, the child is grown and puts away childish things.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look at me, 31 years old, making cartoons about Twilight and Disney Channel movies. So, you know, joke's on you, every ex-girlfriend I ever had. Looks like I don't need to grow up after all. So, right from the get-go, everyone's preparing for the big wedding between Bella and Edward. Bella's over here having a tough time learning how to walk on heels, because, you know, she's more of like a boots and Converse kind of girl. And also, for some reason, just looks a lot like Michael Jackson now. But anyway, Bella goes home for the night because Alice tells her to.
You, go home and get lots of beauty sleep. That's an order.
Okay.
And wouldn't you be shocked to know that a certain someone just kind of decides to show up like a weirdo?
I was just checking for cold feet.
Okay, wait, hold on a second here. You came all this way just to check on her feet? So, like, you got a little something you want to share with us there, Edward?
It's not too late to change my mind.
What, now you're having second thoughts?
I've been waiting a century to marry you, Miss Swan.
What?
I haven't told you everything about myself.
Yes, clearly. I mean, first you're climbing in the window watching Bella sleep or whatever, and now we're all just learning that you got a thing for foots. See, this is why you gotta be careful with the whole, like, waiting until marriage thing. I mean, sure, maybe it's, like, romantic or whatever, but, like, you gotta be prepared for all kinds of shenanigans. Anyway, so after this, Edward goes off to his bachelor party, where everyone's just gonna braid each other's hair and find out who's the sparkliest, I assume. And Bella has a nightmare where she actually marries Edward. Can you imagine? But then, the next day, it's finally time for the wedding, and Bella kinda starts to regret eating those Taco Bell leftovers from last night, you know what I'm saying? And then they decide to just kind of like do the whole thing themselves.
It's heaven to hold.
For better or for worse.
Guys?
Richer, poor.
Hello?
In sickness and in health.
We haven't even started yet. But yeah, so finally, after years of staring and heavy breathing and whatever this was, Bella and Edward are finally married. Now later on that night, Edward says he has one more surprise for Bella. But after the whole feet thing we just went through, like how many surprises can one girl take, you know what I mean?
The best man didn't have time to get a tux.
Jacob! Jacob. Hey.
Hey, Bella.
Hey.
You know, I've talked a lot about how Bella really sends a lot of mixed signals throughout this whole series, and like even now, on her wedding night, she's still doing it. But anyway, so Jacob's like, sure sucks you're not gonna have a real honeymoon. And then Bella's like, oh, we're having a honeymoon. And then Jacob gets all grumpy because, you know, now what's he supposed to do with all these abs? Now, once the wedding and everything is over, Edward takes Bella to a secret deserted island where they get to be alone and do all kinds of icky grown-up stuff. But skipping ahead just a little bit, the first big issue we get to is that Edward has a hard time controlling himself during the
Devil's Tango.
And leaves Bella looking like this.
Bella, I can't tell you how sorry I am.
I'm not. Really, I'm not. I'm fine.
Don't say you're fine.
Don't ruin this.
I've already ruined it.
Why can't you see how perfectly happy I am? Or was 5 seconds ago.
You see, Bella, this is what Jacob was trying to warn you about over the last, 3 movies. Being with a guy who's all dark and brooding or whatever, it's fine at first, right? Until you realize that he's gonna brood about everything. Bella, I put the toaster on 4 instead of 3, and now everything is completely burnt, because that's how toasters work for some reason. How can you even bear to look at me? Bella, I accidentally washed one red sock with your white socks, and now they're all pink. I must climb to the top of the highest mountain so I can be alone and cry and stuff. I forgot to change the toilet paper roll again. But of course, Bella tries to make him feel better about the whole thing.
I think we did amazing. I mean, it was amazing for me.
That's what you're worried about.
I know it's not the same for you, but for a human, I can't imagine that it gets any better than that.
Anyway, so the next 10 minutes of the movie is basically just Bella going around hey Edward, you wanna blah, 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 and Edward just being like, how about we play chess instead? But then, after 2 weeks of this, Bella wakes up one morning with a little rumbly in her tumbly.
It's impossible. Alice, I know that it's impossible, but I think that I'm pregnant.
Is this even possible?
You know, that's a very good question. I mean, vampires have no heartbeat, which means no blood flow, which means I got a whole lot of questions about all of this, but let's just move on. So they fly back to Forks to see what's going on with Bella, and Jacob hears they're back in town, so he goes to say hello.
You look terrible.
It's nice to see you too.
So you gonna tell me what's wrong with you? You did this.
That's right, Jacob. That is indeed where babies come from. You solved the puzzle. Good for you. Anyway, so there's a lot of back and forth, but basically just to summarize, the baby is some kind of demon child that's slowly sucking the life out of Bella. But despite this, Bella still wants to keep it. Now, Edward knows Bella won't listen to him, so he tells Jacob to try and convince Bella to let them get rid of it before it's too late. And you know, taken out of context, this sounds like a very different movie.
Jake, I can do this. I'm strong enough.
Oh, come on. You can spout that crap to your bloodsucker, but you don't fool me. I can see what that thing's doing to you.
You're wrong.
What was the point? Of me loving you, you loving him?
I mean, that's something we've all been asking ourselves for 10 years now, Jacob, so I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, so Jacob throws a fit, like always, and meets up with his wolf buddies, who all decide that whatever's growing inside of Bella might be dangerous to them and everyone, for some reason, and they have no choice but to deal with it and Bella if necessary. Now, surprise, surprise, Jacob isn't too fond of this idea, because, one day she might notice him, okay? I mean, hey, it kinda sorta worked for that guy in Love Actually, right? Anyway, so he makes this very dramatic exit and goes to protect Bella, even against his own kind.
I will not. I am the grandson of Ephraim Black. I am the grandson of a chief. I wasn't born to follow you or anyone else.
Speaking of Bella, turns out that whatever's inside of her is actually killing her much faster than everyone thought, and she's running out of time pretty quick here. Now, Jacob gets the idea that since it's half vampire, or whatever it is, maybe it just wants some blood.
Jacob just had an idea.
It wasn't an idea. It was a snide comment.
What were you thinking?
That it's probably just looking for someone to sink its teeth into.
He's thirsty.
If it's craving, it's not gonna want animal blood.
So Carlisle gets some human blood and puts it in like a Chick-fil-A cup with a straw. I don't know why this is so funny to me. I mean, this is supposed to be like a serious part of the movie, and then Bella's just like, "Oh, thanks, guys." So, after she drinks a whole bunch of blood, suddenly Edward can hear the baby's thoughts, and we finally get to learn a little something about what's going on in there.
He likes the sound of your voice.
You can hear him?
He likes my voice as well.
What do you hear?
So strange. I thought he was like me, but he's not. He's like you.
Ah, okay, I get you. So what you're saying is, it's gonna be one of those kids who wears only black hoodies and like writes poems on the inside of their Trapper Keepers about how tough life is when you're 14 and your mom buys the wrong flavor of Pop-Tarts. Anyway, so later that night, Bella tells Jacob and Edward about the very unfortunate baby name she thought up.
If it's a boy, EJ. Edward Jacob.
Why don't you tell him the girl's name?
I was playing around with our mom's names. Renee and Esme. And I was thinking, Renesmee.
And right that moment, the baby's like, "Ah, crap, my mom's one of these, hey, let's give our baby a quirky name so they get made fun of their entire life kind of ladies. I'm out of here." But turns out everyone was right, and it's all too much for Bella's body to handle.
You deserve to live with this.
If only, huh? No, actually, after this, Edward injects some of his, like, venom or whatever into Bella to try and save her, but it doesn't look like anything's really working. Now, on the other side, Jacob realizes there's really no point in protecting Bella anymore because, you know, she's kind of sort of maybe like a little bit dead. So he decides to go after the half-vampire demon baby thing before it does whatever he thinks it's gonna do.
It's like gravity. Your whole center shifts.
Oh? Oh? Okay, so amazing CG baby aside, did Jacob just fall in love with a baby? Did that just happen right now? Are we just gonna let this go? So like, okay, let's just summarize everything up to this point. Guy and girl get married, girl gets pregnant, guy wants her to get rid of it, girl wants to keep it, girl's best guy friend is upset because he's in the friend zone, girl dies while giving birth, and her guy friend falls in love with her baby. What the heck is this movie? Anyway, after this, the werewolves come for the demon baby. And then we get this epic fight between them and the vampires, which really just kind of looks like everyone punching nothing for 5 minutes. But right then, they all learn that Jacob imprinted on Renesmee, and then they're all just like, "Hey, whoa, this Jacob kid's got some issues." And they all leave. And then, the next day, this happens. And that's where the story ends for now. So, what was your favorite part of the movie? That was mine too. Oh yeah, and then there's this little like stinger at the end where the vampire council dudes are all like, "A half-human demon baby? That's pretty cool." You know, coming this far in the series, I gotta be honest, I actually kind of miss the early movies now. Like the first one, right? I mean, yeah, sure, it's more or less just a cheesy teen romance or whatever, but like it was good enough at being that, you know what I mean? But at this point, I mean, my goodness. Bella is a vampire, she has a half-vampire demon baby that Jacob is now in love with, and I just don't know nothing about nothing anymore. Anyway, we have one last movie to do, so get ready for it, everybody, because you better believe I'm going in. You know, this video's been a long time coming. I wasn't sure if I was even gonna make it this far, to be honest, because 5 Twilight movies is a lot to ask of anyone. But then again, if I can do 3 seasons of Riverdale, I can probably make it through anything. But all the same, here we are at the end of the road. It's finally time to finish the Twilight saga with Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2. So as per the ending of Part 1, Bella woke up and is now trying to get used to a renewed vampire-hoodness ship.
You're a lot stronger than I am right now.
You Edward, I saw you take your shirt off in the second movie, so I'm pretty sure that's always been the case. But okay, whatever you say. Anyway, so now that Bella's finally awake, naturally she wants to see her daughter. But there's a little something she has to do first.
Renesmee.
She's incredible.
Where is she? I have to see her.
Wait. You need to get your thirst under control.
Well, shoot. I mean, I've been saying that since like 3 movies ago. So they both go out hunting for some aminals and give us the greatest CG I've ever seen. I mean, come on, Avatar who? Now, after this whole thing is over, Edward and Bella go back home, and who do you think is waiting there for them?
You're still here.
So are you?
I would keep my distance for now.
It's safer for the baby to see how you do with me first.
Since when do you care about Renesmee?
Oh yeah, funny story, Bella. You better sit down for this one, okay? Couple things might have happened while you were asleep, but trust me, you're gonna laugh. All right, Jacob, let her have it.
All right. Take a whiff.
What? Boy, what a way to change a conversation, huh? So Bella goes inside and finally meets her daughter for the first time since ever, I guess. And she has pretty much the same reaction we all did.
Someone's been waiting to meet you. Rose.
What the heck's going on with the baby, guys? Anybody else seeing this? Is this permanent? But that's when she learns the truth about what Jacob was about to tell her before he did the whole, like, pull my finger thing, or I don't know, whatever that was.
You imprinted on my daughter?
It wasn't my choice.
She's a baby!
But then Jacob tries to explain why it's actually not that weird to fall in love with a baby, okay, guys? Only God can judge me.
Do you remember how much you wanted to be around me 3 days ago? That's gone now, right?
Long gone.
Because it was her. From the beginning, it was Nessie who wanted me there. Nothing ever made sense before. You, me, any of it. And now I understand why. This was the reason.
Okay, hold on, Jacob. Let me just make sure I understand here. So everything between you and Bella over these 5 movies was because you and her baby that wasn't even made yet were actually in love with each other this whole time. So like in the movie theater or that time you jumped in Bella's window with your shirt off? That was weird, but anyway. All of this was just you having a thing for the baby that she was gonna have in the future? Well, nothing weird about that, Jacob. Makes perfect sense, all right? It's just a nice, wholesome family movie. Right, guys? Anyway, the next day, Bella realizes she still has a dad, but of course she can't tell him anything about what's happened because, you know, that's against the rules or something.
Is that Charlie?
He's been calling twice a day.
You miss this place.
We'll come back. We always do.
Nobody said anything about leaving.
Once people believe Bella's dead, we can't risk anyone seeing her.
Now, Jacob isn't a fan of this idea because that would mean he has to be away from Renesmee. So he goes over to Bella's dad's house and things take a sharp turn.
I need to see Bella.
Look. Here goes nothing. You don't live in the world you think you do.
Anyway, so Jacob tells Bella's dad about werewolves and that Bella is alive and everything's fine, relatively speaking. But of course, he doesn't just come out and say what happened to her because the last thing any parent wants to hear is that their kid's gonna be emo forever, you know what I mean? So after Jacob does his magic mic thing, Bella's dad goes over to the Cullens' house to see what's going on.
I really think it would be better.
I want to know what happened to you.
I can't tell you.
I think I deserve an explanation.
But if you really need one, I can't stay here.
Oh, come on. No more going away.
Dad, you're just gonna have to trust that for whatever reason, I'm all right.
I mean, I just watched a kid I've known his entire life turn into a very large dog.
Oh, you think that's bad? You should see half of these kids on DeviantArt. So then they show him Renesmee and tell him that she's their adopted niece. And I mean, sure, that's all great and everything, but like, what is going on with this kid? I mean, the head is not even attached to the body. I know this is an old meme at this point and I'm like really late to the party or whatever, but this movie just has so much everything. And you know, apparently in the original cut, they were actually gonna use like an animatronic doll for the baby, but like, I don't see how it could possibly have been any worse than what we have. Oh my goodness! What's going on here? What is this? What's happened? What? Anyway, skipping ahead a little bit, Renesmee has now grown up because she ages really fast for some mysterious reason. And Bella's getting used to her new life of doing pretty much nothing. I mean, like really, they don't eat, they don't sleep, no one goes to school anymore, it doesn't look like anyone has a job or anything. So like, what are you guys even doing? Anyway, one day, Alice gets a vision of the future. So basically, here's what's going on. One of the Cullens' extended family saw Bella and Renesmee playing in the snow one day, and saw that Renesmee has like superpowers or whatever. Now this person goes to the Vampire Council and tells them that Bella turned her kid into a vampire.
I have to report a crime. The Cullens, they've done something terrible.
Which is, I guess, one of the worst things you can do because, you know, like vampire kids can't keep secrets, they can't control themselves. It's just kind of bad news for everybody. So now the whole council's coming to Forks to deal with Renesmee and the whole Cullen family. So the next chunk of the movie is the Cullens going around the world gathering every vampire friend they've ever made so they can meet Renesmee and see that she's not actually a full vampire. And in the middle of all this, we also learn about Bella's superpowers.
Edward, you didn't tell me your wife was a shield.
What's a shield?
The ones I've met are so different. It's a defensive talent. That's why I couldn't read your mind even before.
Okay, wait a second. So Edward couldn't read Bella's mind in the first movie because she has superpowers that she could use even though she wasn't a vampire yet, because clearly this was all planned out from the beginning. Remember back when this was all just about some awkward loner girl falling in love with the weird emo kid who wears body glitter or whatever? Remember those days? And now it's just like X-Men, anemic edition. Anyway, so we're just gonna skip ahead a little bit here. Let's see here.
Hey, it's baby bottle pop. It's a baby bottle pop. Just lick the pop, dip it and shake it. And lick it again. It's a baby bottle pop. Baby bottle pop.
Not quite. Okay, here we go. So eventually, the Vampire Council shows up with all their little buddies, and it's finally time to do whatever they're gonna do. So the creepy Uncle Touchy vampire leader guy calls Renesmee over to check whether she is or is not in fact a vampire. You know, I was giving Jacob a hard time earlier, but at least he never did that. So turns out there's no problem with Renesmee, no one broke any rules, everything's on the up and up, and even Alice offers to show that creepy laugh guy proof that there's nothing to worry about.
Alice, we're so glad to see you here after all.
I have evidence the child won't be a risk to our kind.
It doesn't matter what I show you. You still won't change your decision.
So yeah, it turns out the head vampire guy was already going to get rid of the Cullens and Renesmee anyway, because, you know, what if she's dangerous somehow? Then a big fight breaks out where everyone gets to use all their cool superpowers, because that's what this movie is now, I guess. Anyway, so this fight goes on for a really long time, and just when Edward and friends are about to win, surprise, it was all a dream vision thing. Look at you guys getting all excited for no reason. And then right after this, two vampires from the Brazilian Amazon show up. No joke here, this is actually what happens in the movie. And they're like, we have a half vampire guy and he's not so bad. And then the head vampire dude is like, oh, okay, that's cool. And everyone just walks away, problem solved. So yeah, I guess you could say this movie doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, in the end, all the other vampires say their goodbyes and go home to do whatever vampires do, because you know what? The real half vampire baby was the friends we made along the way. Also, just a quick aside here. You know how when we first met Edward and his family and we were like introduced to the whole idea of vampires or whatever, and it was all about how they're so beautiful and perfectly groomed and all that stuff?
That's Edward Cullen. He's totally gorgeous, obviously.
Well, turns out that's only the Cullens, I guess, because like every other guy here looks like someone you would see outside the train station selling bracelets they made out of like belly button lint. Anyway, so now that everyone's safe and the big conflict is over, we cut to Edward and Bella sitting in a flower field for the 500th time, sharing a moment.
show you something.
If this is about that mole on your back that looks like Bette Midler taking a dump, I told you, once was one time too many, all right? But actually, she's somehow just shows him this vision of like every Twilight movie and how they met and all that stuff. And you know, it's all like
super romantic.
And that's where this movie and the whole Twilight saga comes to an end. I know I already said this in my Breaking Dawn Part 1 video, but back when Twilight was just like a cheesy romance story or whatever, like it was fine. You know, the whole like Edward versus Jacob thing was dumb, but I can totally understand the appeal of it. I mean, sure, it's all about the fantasy, right? Like having your high school crush like you back, I mean, that'd be pretty cool, right? Not that I would know. But 2 of them? Can you imagine having that much free time? Oh, what a dream. But by the time you get to like the last 3 movies, I mean, it just goes all over the everywhere and just nothing makes any sense. Especially when they try and like explain everything, like Bella's superpowers or Jacob's thing for babies. You know, just a whole lot of information nobody asked for. Now that being said, I am actually a little surprised that there hasn't been anything else done in the Twilight universe. Because I mean, it was so successful and culturally significant.
For better or worse.
You'd think someone would come along and, huh? Really? 50 Shades is a Twilight spinoff?
Oh dear.